is literacy? We hear the term everywhere. Why is everyone talking about it, and why is it important?
Yeah, well, literacy is really just a term that refers to reading and writing. So you have various degrees of literacy. So someone with low literacy is in the very early stages of maybe recognising their letters and being able to sound out words and put them together. And someone with a very high degree of literacy might be someone who has a really huge vocab and is doing, for example, some postgraduate study, and they're using lots of complex language in their reading and writing, and they can understand it. So it's not just reading and the writing, it's the understanding it and bringing the two together. That's literacy.
Sort of the marrying of all of it.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So what are some of the key components of literacy?
Well, the important thing to know is that literacy actually starts to develop in children before they even pick up a pencil to write their first letters, or before they even pick up a book to read their first words. So we are developing our literacy skills. We call them pre-literacy skills from infancy. So that's often with our what we call our phonological awareness. So our ability to listen to sounds, to hear sounds, to manipulate them, to rhyme them, to be able to put them together into syllables, be able to clap them out, pull them apart, put them back together again. All that is a skill that uses our auditory memory, our working memory, and our listening skills. And that's really important. You've got to have that in place before you can actually start applying that to letters.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I guess probably another key element of literacy is developing vocabulary and sentence structure. So you've got something to say, you know how to say it, how to put it together. Yeah. So the stronger those skills are before you actually pick up the pen or pick up the book, the easier it is going to be for you to pull it all together, to be reading and writing fluently.
Yeah, great. So what are some of the tips for someone just starting infant stage? They're just trying to, they're not trying, but their parents are trying to get them equipped. What are some important things for that infant early age?
Well, it's about developing all-round communication. So it's actually spending time face-to-face with a child. It's playing some sound games with them. It's getting them to watch your mouth. You can play look, listen and copy games where you maybe, I guess when they're really tiny, you're doing lots of babbling and mimicking back to them some of the speech sounds that they're making. When they're a bit older and you're in front of the mirror, for example, when they first start to brush their teeth and they're looking in the mirror in the bathroom, you can play look, listen and copy games. So that's, I'm doing this face, can you do the same face? Oh, I'm making this sound, can you copy the same sound? It's reading rhymes, it's singing songs, it's playing around with language. All of that's super duper important.
Yeah, okay. So how about when they get a little bit older then, like preschool sort of age, maybe not quite starting school, what are some of the things that should be introduced? Yeah,
well, some of those things that I just mentioned can apply all the way through, but definitely developing that ability to pick up on a rhyme. So reading lots of books that have got those rhyming sentences in it. Yeah, and you kind of have this anticipatory pause before the rhyme and give the child a chance to fill in the missing bit. So it might be like, Mr. McGee lived under a tree. That's it, and we put the rhymes together.
Okay, so they're really important then.
Really important.
Kids' rhymes you don't think anything of.
Yeah, really important. Being able to clap out syllables, saying my name, Alison, it's got Hosanna. There we go, 3 syllables. It's those kinds of things. And it's also, I guess, starting to play games like I Spy. I Spy something that starts with a B, and seeing if they can actually start to work some of those things out. So at that early stage before they hit school, you're really wanting them to get really good with their auditory processing, they're playing around with sounds. You want them to be able to start to pull words apart. And then it's really important that you talk about letter sounds as opposed to letter names. So by all means teach them the alphabet so they can say A, B, C. But if they're starting to look at a letter, you want them to be able to look at the letter like in their name, Hosanna, and see, and rather than saying H, they'll go, oh, that's an H, it makes a sound, or that's a B, it makes a B sound. So knowing the sounds is really crucial before they know the letter names.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So then when they start school, what changes from there?
Well, a lot of people have this misconception that literacy starts when you go to school, but kids actually need all of these skills beforehand to be able to just really take off when they hit school. So school is when they start to introduce lots of the letters, and you start to learn your sight words, and you start to actually be sounding out words and putting words together. So one of the best things you can be doing is still keeping up with the rhyming and the syllables and those sorts of things, but really starting to read to your child. I mean, hopefully you've been reading to your child since day dot, but really starting to read books that are very engaging, books that, I guess, stimulate their imagination, that are very language rich. Because we know little people, they can't read books of that complexity themselves, but there's so much benefit in hearing that sort of more mature language with a more advanced vocabulary that really plays into literacy. So sitting down and having good old book time, reading classics together, reading adventure stories together, or if you feeling like you haven't got the time to do that, audiobooks are great.
Oh, they're great. Love them.
Yeah. Get a good borrow box from the library.
Yeah.
And, you know, you can get free audiobooks all the time. So, yeah, they're really important as well.
Yeah, sounds like some good resources. So if we want to find out more about the latest stages of literacy, where can we go to find that information?
Well, I have got a blog on the website, and it's actually got some really practical tips, games and activities for what to do for preschoolers right through to upper primary school age kids as well, with a few sort of generic tips there. I think one of the other key things to mention is that literacy doesn't develop in a vacuum. The most competent readers and writers are really immersed in the world of language and the world of books and the written word from very early on. So even when they're very small, you know, parents are pointing out signs and you know, reading labels on things in the supermarket together. Some of the first signs of literacy are actually kids who are driving down the road and see the big M golden arches for a certain restaurant chain. That's actually literacy. They recognise that relates to something that's really important to them. Or they can recognise a stop sign. So they might not be able to go stop yet, but they can see those letters and they know the shape of the sign and they know that means something. So
know what that means.
Yeah, so we're talking about those things. We're immersed in language, we're immersed in literacy. So actually talking about it and drawing their attention to it is really important. Yeah. Being good role models, reading yourself, showing them that, you know, you can read the computer, you can read a book, you can read a magazine, you can read so many bits and pieces, recipes, that kind of thing as well. Yeah.
Well, this sounds like a very important topic for this fortnight. So stay tuned on our social media pages. That's Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. On our website, we'll have all of our latest blogs posted, including this one on literacy. So not one to miss. It's definitely very important, and we've got some great resources out there for you. So go and have a look, and we'll catch you next week.